Rolling, Brother Mustard?
Yeah, 2.
On the bottom.
Yeah, 2 seconds, 3.
Okay. The hour has arrived. Let us stand and take position in prayer as we open our services. Prayer position. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the day of judgment in which we now live, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Thee do we serve, and thine aid do we seek. Guide us on the right path, the path of those whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those whom thy wrath has brought down, nor of those who go astray, after they've heard thy teachings. Say ye, Allah is one God, it is he whom nothing is independent, but he whom we all depend. He neither begets nor is he begotten, and there is none like him. And I bear witness that none deserve to be praised but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his last, greatest, and only chosen apostle. Amen.
Amen.
We may be seated. In the name of Almighty God, Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom all holy praise is forever due, and in the name of his last and greatest apostle, our divine leader, teaching guide, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, do I greet my brothers and sisters in the greeting words of peace and paradise of As-salamu alaykum.
Wa alaykum salam.
So how are my brothers and sisters this afternoon?
Find all praises to Allah for the most honorable Muhammad, sir.
Yes, we can always say that we are fine. All praises due to Allah for raising one from amongst us. Our divine, as we said, leader, teacher, and guide, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And because of what he gives us, we surely can say that we are fine. And as we grow in Islam, we can be getting finer.
Yes, sir.
Both in thought, in spirit, and in mind.
Yes, sir.
All
Always.
praises are due to Almighty God's message.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers and sisters, welcome again to Muhammad's Temple here in the East, 1318 Mosby Street. The place that we know you get what the messenger has given to us to be given out.
Yes, sir.
We study and teach from his books. We lecture from his books, his tapes, his videos, the information that he brings forth to us.
Yes, sir.
It's so easy to take a little bit of this and try to run off and make something of your own with it. But all praise is due to Allah. If you want it right, you better stay with that which the messenger gives us.
Yes, sir.
All praises are due to Allah. Brothers and sisters, when you come into the temple, as you're aware that you get a search procedure. This is a physical search.
Yes.
Some people say, well, I don't want to be searched. Well, you don't want to come in.
Yeah.
Because coming in and being searched is your first submission that you do coming into Muhammad's temple.
Yeah.
Now, some people don't like the idea, but we're not responsible for what they like or don't like.
True.
We have a procedure that we follow, and if they want to learn what's going on in here, they follow the procedure.
That's right.
It's a physical search, meaning that we search for weapons, drugs, paraphernalia, anything that would be non-conducive to the atmosphere of peace that we are setting up.
Right.
They can take it back home, they can put it in the car, or they can carry it with them on out. All praise is due to Allah. That's the rule. And this rule applies to everybody. You know, some locations you may go to and say, well, you don't have to search the minister. But that's not the program of the message.
No,
The
sir.
message said we search
Everybody.
Why? Because the greatest of us is only one step ahead of the lost man.
True.
So we can put anybody on our shoulders that we want to put on our shoulders, but they are still subject to the rules, guidelines, and laws that are laid out in the temple under the messenger's direction.
Yes, sir.
When you come into our auditorium, you notice that there's a seating arrangement that separates brothers from sisters.
True.
This is temporary, and some may not like that either because they're accustomed to going into the church and you can sit co-ed. You know, you sit with your husband or your wife or your male or female counterpart, whoever, because that's what you've been accustomed to coming up under white man's leadership. But the messenger says we separate you for the purpose of giving you something that you may have never had, and that is the teaching that we bring forth in here. Separating temporarily, give you something to come back together and talk about.
Right.
If you go to the movie or if you go to a party, when you leave that, you talk about what went on at the game or what went on at the party.
Yes, sir.
You know, when you leave here, you can have something to talk about what went on at the temple.
Yes, sir.
And it's something that's going to be beneficial to the both of you.
Right.
So we said we follow it and lay it out the way the messenger has instructed us to do.
Yes, sir.
Additionally, being separated gives you an opportunity to put your mind on the information coming from the rostrum. Some say podium. I'm going to say it from up here.
Okay.
So what? You can pay attention and pick up on something that you may have never been exposed to.
True.
And this is always the case in Muhammad's temple.
Yes, sir.
People come in and say, you all always start off with a little short lecture talking about the surroundings and the setup.
Of course.
If I don't tell you what it's all about, you won't know.
True.
So we tell you what it's all about, so you can get acclimated, as they say, to the environment that you have in it. On my right and your left, we have a board referred to as our actual facts board. We oftentimes say the Armageddon board. Why? Because here you're getting armed to do something.
Right.
We're getting ready for, as they said, a war between your righteous and unrighteous, or God and devil. But what we're doing is getting you ready to be introduced to a teaching that is way different than you. I'm sorry. You do know about this one, right? The one they call Jesus.
So they say.
Well, we teach you about Jesus here, but not in the sense that he's all that. He's just another prophet. Of course, Scripture refers to him as another prophet. Even one of the prophets that they have in Scripture said he was a man out of due season. They say him and his mama. She was a virgin, and he was born without the agency of a man. Yet they refer to him as a man. So some man must have something to do with this conception. They tell you it's God. But that's not what we tell you. We teach you the truth.
Yes.
We teach you the reality of God, who is not a spook or a spirit in a place called heaven up in the sky. There's no God up there for you. I'm sorry, UFOs don't work. That ain't working.
No.
If you think it's an alien, then you're going to be off track.
Way off track.
The brother say way off track. Because, even though they tell you that on television that some of these programs like ancient aliens, that the gods came down out of the sky in their little ships or whatever and taught mankind everything they need to know.
Mankind.
There was some gods who came, but they didn't come out the sky. They was already here on the earth when the so-called made man was produced. And we'll tell you a little bit about that too.
Yes.
Because you don't hear about Genesis 1:26 referring to a man making a man. Right. They tell you that's God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost. About that. A Holy Ghost doing a little work. We talk about a ghost right here. We ready to get going. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So when they talk about the Holy Ghost being a part of a Trinity, you don't see but two. Actually, you don't see but one. So the one is Jesus, the man they claim was God's son, but you never see God. Why? Because he's invisible up in the sky someplace. So here, brothers and sisters, we want to bring you to reality.
Yes.
Bring you on down to reality.
Earth.
God is not a spook. He is not a spirit. But there is a God in us. Okay? And I don't want you to think that's no spirit either. When we go into the depths of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you heard the one about Jacob's ladder, right? Yes, sir. Not to get off of this topic, because I want to introduce you to this board. Right. But they talk about Jacob's ladder. We're climbing Jacob's ladder. Yeah. And in Scripture, they talk about Jacob climbing the ladder, and he looking up, and he see God. And he called him Pioneer. Think about that. Pioneer land. So he ain't talking about no physical being spooking up in no heaven that he climbing no cloudy steps or nothing. Understand that. On my right, as we said, this is our actual facts board.
Yes, sir.
Last time I was here, we talked about some of the things that went on in this triple darkness.
Right.
And there's much. The message said, there's much that I could teach you, but you ain't ready to hear it all. And that is true, So we give you a surface teachings to introduce you to the teachings of Almighty God through His messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
We show you two worlds. The world of Christianity, which you're well acquainted with, because you've been in it all your life, believing all your lives that they told you. And most of you, or some of you, not you per se, want to fight people over the lie that's been told. Sure. Ain't nothing greater than God, but you don't know God, you ain't seen God, can't hear God, They tell you if you want to talk to God, just pray. Well, who you praying to?
Good
if
question.
you don't know who God is.
Good question.
Better yet, even where He is.
Exactly.
So when you get over here and you start praying to God, you don't get nothing in response. I talked to God today. That's what the preacher said, right? We had a long conversation. He says it like, we had a long conversation. And he told me that he wants you to put some money in my pocket. Now, I don't think that's what God will be telling him for you.
No, that's him talking.
No, that's him talking. That's right, brother. All praise to your Lord. When we look at this side of the board and we talk about the world of Christianity, we can trace its time back to only about what? 2,000 years under the so-called name of Jesus.
Right. So-called.
But they said the truth is he never came teaching no Christianity.
No.
Christianity was introduced by white people. Now, they don't tell you that white people introduced Christianity because they want you to accept whatever the white man says.
Yes.
And if he tell you, you will argue and fight that what he say is gospel. Why? Because he looks like God's son. And if God's son is Jesus looking like a white man,
then God must be.
I don't know if you can say he looked like a white man when he's supposed to have olive colored skin and a black mama. But, you know, I'm not a Catholic. I don't look over there in the Catholic Church and see a black Madonna and transfer that to a white boy. And nobody ever asked the question, well, why the picture looking like a white man that the baby is a black man and the mama is a black woman? Where did cracker come from?
Good question.
They just accept it. They want you to accept it. Hook, line, and sinker. And when we come over here and we look at the flag of the United States of America, which is a Christian country, even though their Statue of Liberty tell you, bring me your everything.
Everything.
Bring it all to me. And when they all start coming to him, they said, no.
Lock the door.
Now they talking about, lock them out. You know, put an end to Muslims coming in. Well, why the Muslims? Well, the Muslims that come from the East that come here ain't really no threat to white people. When it comes to their religious teachings, why? Well, one thing is a threat. An Muslim will blow himself up. Christians don't even do that. You understand? They want to rule, but they ain't killing themselves to rule. And they get somebody else to kill themselves.
Yeah.
But when you come over here and get up under this flag, as we are under that flag, in the sense that we are, quote unquote, the new name African Americans. And we're really not either of them.
Neither one.
We're not Africans.
No Americans.
We're not Americans. You know, we are members of the Aboriginal people of the earth. Meaning what? Being Aboriginal, we are native to this part of the planet.
Right.
But being a part of the original people of the planet makes us black men and women.
Right.
Not only from Africa,
right.
All over the place. Because everywhere you go, you find signs that we've been there.
Yeah.
That's right, and they do too.
That's right.
Freedom, justice, and equality is not over here for you, brothers and sisters.
No.
Slavery, suffering, and death is the game of the day.
Right.
And we as a people follow that program and plan and apparently enjoying it. Yet we have some of our youth be killed and then be out vigilantly with some candles talking about this killing got to stop.
Never does.
Well, they don't tell you to stop it in the church. No. They tell you in the church, hell, we kill Jesus too. You understand?
And worship it.
Certainly we'll kill you and get you to kill your own black selves. Freedom, justice, and equality is not going to be found over here. So we say, come out of her scripturally, ye my people. But see, the ye my people is we don't know whose people we are.
We sure don't.
So you have to come to Muhammad's temple to learn whose people you belong to.
Right.
Who's the black family? Who's the black man and woman of the planet? Our first lesson is who is the original man?
Yes, sir.
The Asiatic black man. Father of what?
Civilization. God.
He is the God of the universe. He's the cream
of the planet.
You know, when you put the cream, mixed it, the milk in the
coffee,
churn, what come up first? The cream, and the cream turn to what? Butter. You understand? The best part of it is us. Yeah, bro. And this little cross that we hang around our neck, that's a symbol of death.
Sure is.
We know that. I know you all know that. But so many of our people don't know. Because they under the doctrine and influence of the Christian teaching.
Yes.
They tell you in Christianity, we all the same. We all God's children. We all need red. Love your brother as you love yourself. My bad. Love your enemy as you love yourself.
Yeah.
And we do that. But we don't love ourselves because we don't know who self
We don't know who we are.
is.
Right.
You know, black folks are brothers and sisters. But we don't know that. And the only place you will learn that is here in the temple set up under the guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
I know you can go to college and you can take black history studies. But that ain't the studies you need.
No.
Because these black history studies don't even include you. They ain't teaching you no slave history.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're going to start wanting to rebel. You remember when they brought Roots out? But Kuna Kente, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That first episode, people didn't even want to go to work the next day. White folks. They didn't want you to come to school the next day. Why? Because that little series messed you up so bad that white people were scared. They ain't taking no chance on the Indians because it didn't show them how you treat you. Yet you already was aware of how they treat you. And they still treat you the same the way today, but you don't want to believe it. You look over here, brothers and sisters, I said, ain't no freedom, justice, and equality over here for you. It's only slavery, suffering, and death. And that little picture of a black man hanging on the tree is the order of the day.
Yes.
We said their number one slogan is what?
Beat, kill.
And they don't care who they kill.
No,
because they'll kill each other if they can't find nobody else to kill.
Right, and they do.
You know?
They do.
I remember the little story that they told about the Indian. Kill the Indian. Indian ain't won't play game no more. So they went and got Africa and got you. Started doing the same thing that they were doing to the Indian. You started, you don't want to play no more. As a matter of fact, you said, I don't want to be your nigga no more. I want to be your Indian. He said, well, hold up.
I'm the Indian.
Why you want to be the Indian? I killed them. I raped the women. I killed the kids. He said, yeah, but the difference is they get to carry a gun. So they have a means of defending themselves. You ain't gave me nothing. You done took the knowledge of myself away from me. I don't know nothing about me. All I know is I'm supposed to love you and hate my brother and sister. And I look at the torture that you did to my family, and I'm still supposed to hate you. No, I'm supposed to love you. You told me, Jesus, forgive me for all my sins. I don't know if I got any sins left the way you whooping on me. You beat all of that out of me.
We need Jesus for this.
Islam is the key.
Yes, it is.
Our salvation.
That's right.
Not the Islam coming from the East. That's taught by the Arab people. I saw a little thing. The man said, well, you just traded Christianity, white man religion, Islam, for Arab religion. He just told me he don't know what that he talking about. See, because if he knew what Islam really was all about, he wouldn't make no comparison like that.
No.
He is deaf, dumb, and blind.
True.
And he would be one who would be boosting the enemy's program for you to stay over here instead of getting out of Dodge and come on over here.
Exactly.
You see?
Yes, sir.
Islam, the flag, came to us in 1930. Just a little bit of history here.
Right.
Given to us by Almighty God Himself. Oh, nigga, please. God gave you the flag.
Yes, He did.
Yes. You see, because God, as we said, ain't no spook or no spirit. It's a man. Matter of fact, he's a black man.
Yes, sir.
And if Jacob looked up the ladder and saw who he referred to as the God and called it pineal, it must have been in you, brothers and sisters.
Right.
Because the more you know about yourself, the more enlightened you become. Masons, their number is what? 33, right?
33.
Talking about what? The amount of knowledge and wisdom. 33 degrees. Don't you know you got 33 vertebrae in your body?
Think about
your
that.
backbone?
Yeah.
It's 33. The last one up is the 33rd one. Those down the bottom is making this hip area down here. There's 5 that's fused together right there. Take the time, because these are things that you don't know to get in nobody's church.
Right.
They ain't gonna tell you about that. When the man said 30 degrees, it ain't got nothing to do about being in no ice house. It's talking about the base of the medulla oblongata, which is the base of the brain.
Right.
And what's in the middle of that? You heard me talk about the pineal gland. That's the God gland in man. Remember I said it was calcified in white folk. He only used a small portion of it. Well, he got to have something to keep on.
A little bit.
But when it comes to what the master said, 14 million brain cells for you, 12 for him, your brain way more, his way less. You stronger man, he weaker man. He's made from you. And he tell you we all the same. No, it ain't true. The flag represents the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay? Now, the interpretation of what you see here is the sun represents freedom. And it gives off its radiant light, heat, and vitamins to everything that's in its circle.
Right.
You go outdoors and stand out there, and you're supposed to get a little sun every day. Get that vitamin D, keep you strong and healthy.
Right.
You remember I talked about melatonin, which is one of the vital, how I want to play. What you say, bro?
Energizers.
Yeah, for the body. Melatonin while you sleep, like rejuvenate, and then you got some energy to go out there in the daytime with the serotonin and do what you do.
Right.
You know? All of this is part of what the messenger teaches us. The sun is that pituitary gland, in a sense, in our head. Not the pituitary, because that's one of those endogen glands that has a lot of work to do too.
Yes,
I ain't here to talk about physical anatomy, but these things relate to what the
part of
message
creation.
gives us about our own selves.
Right.
The moon. I know man in the moon. Y'all talking about man in the moon all the time. Ooh, the moon's so pretty today. Ooh, it's a parachute. No, it's an aperture. Because one is further and one is closer. Like you say, this in the month, it's going to get a
super moon.
Parachute. Gonna be a super moon.
Yeah.
Gonna be closer to you. Something like 220,000 miles away.
30,000.
About what, 250,000 miles?
Yeah, 30,000
So when
difference.
it's closer, you say, "Ooh, that's so big and pretty." But if you ever notice that when you're coming up from the horizon, it's so big and close to you, seem like the further higher it gets, the smaller it gets. You know, moon got work to do too.
Yes, it
But
does.
it represents equality.
Yes, sir.
We say equality. How they gonna be equality? What they got to do with the black man and woman?
Yeah,
And what's the effect of it on the black man and woman?
Whole lot.
You done heard of lunacy, right? They say when it's full, you go crazy. Activity is much higher than it normally is. Pulls on the wound of the woman. Off their blood, like every 28 days. That's part of that cycle of the moon. 28-day cycle, making that month. But it was also a part of the earth.
At one time.
Now you can go to any science school or astronomy school or cosmology course and they will not tell you that it was part of the earth.
No.
Yet they'll tell you that John Glenn came up and said, "Smell like gunpowder." And then when they come back to look at the moon rock, said, "Well, dog, these the same consistency of the materials of the earth. Where you think it come from, white man? It came from the earth." But we teach 66 trillion years ago there was a great explosion.
Yes, sir.
And that portion of the earth was blown into space. Not as a ball. You know, you can take a firecracker, light it, and throw it out there and say, boom, like that, right? You can detonate a bomb, it go like boom, right?
Yeah.
It don't bomb and be no ball. But coalescing it over a period of time
Gets back together.
in the heavens is what it does. Because what? Things
come together.
of matter attract each other. Gravity. So it coalesces into the smallest figure it can be, which is a sphere.
Yeah.
You don't see it with no humps and bumps and lumps, like no football, arm on one end, arm on the other, thick in the middle. No, it's more like a basketball. Because that's the tightest thing that it could coalesce to be. Star. Okay, here you go. The star represents the 5 senses of man. How does that relate to you? You got 5 senses, don't you?
Got it.
Actually, you got more than 5. Because you're only talking, my 6th sense. You know, going again back to the pioneer. But sight, touch, smell, taste, hearing,
hearing.
5 senses. If you lose one of them,
Another one.
isn't it said that the others increase in their intensity?
Insensitivity.
If you lose sight, you get better hearing. You know, because we balance.
Yeah.
White folk can't balance.
No.
You know, they can't balance. They can't even balance when they got all of them in use. You know what I'm saying? But this star here represents all the stars that we have made. Did you hear what I said?
Oh.
It represents all the stars that we have made.
The original star.
You know, stuff like that. You ain't made nothing. You black. You ain't. You can't do nothing but make trouble. Not true. If he gave you the credit that you are entitled to based on what he knows about you, you know, he wasn't the first one to make no car. You know, we had black manufacturers making cars before white man was.
Exactly.
I think C.W. Patterson was one of them.
North Carolina.
Your lattice machine on your shoe.
Yeah.
We invented that. That little claw-like thing that they used to separate seed from cotton. When they didn't invent that. Look, I'm working on a plantation. That's hard work picking them seeds out. You understand? I'm figuring something out so I can get some, you know, ease the burden on me. Unfortunately, I eased the burden on me. He took credit for it. Now I got to pick even more cotton.
Pick more cotton.
Because he can clean it fast. Ooh. All the stars.
Yes, sir.
Are represented in that one
star.
One star. And even our sun is the biggest and closest star that we got in our solar system. And we know that this is not the only galaxy that's out there. No. And when we go into the mathematics of things, you know, we don't do it in our regular lectures, but in classes as we look into the depth of mathematics, we find that there's a whole lot that we have never even been exposed to. Exactly. You know, we talk about frequencies. You don't know nothing about that. Don't you know that there are certain frequencies to heal your body? Yeah. They say 1,000 kilohertz will restore the cavity out of your teeth. That's music notes. It's universal. Yes, sir. There are, I think, 528 hertz is the universal that calms the whole place down. You know, when you're listening to these harmonic sounds. Oh, I ain't going up, comes up. I ain't no Buddhist. Don't you think these people know more than you know? They do. You say, oh, that religion, yeah, we may talk about that way of life, but we don't know much about that way of life at all. Oh, we don't even hardly know nothing about our own way of life. That's why we're in the temple now learning these. Learning our own. Master said there's a lot I can teach you, but you ain't ready to hear. And you're not, brothers and sisters. But as we grow, as we climb, as you said, Jacob's ladder, and we get more information degree by degree, and then studying and examining these things that the Master gives us, the greater our knowledge becomes. That's why we talk about the well of Zamzam, the water wisdom that you can take in and never get enough of, and never fill up on. True. Why? Because these 14 billion brain cells that we got can hold a lot of information. Yes, they can. But the information that we want is that which makes us a new person again. Exactly. So we say Islam is the salvation for black people. Not Eastern Islam, but the new Islam. You got to understand that there is a difference. Big difference. Yes. All praises due to Allah, brothers and sisters. There's much more we could go into here today, but there's something we want to let you know on the subject that's coming up. We seek truth and justice. I know you've been looking for truth a long time. White man been lying to you a long time. Everything he's telling you, you say, yeah, that's right. That's right. And then you go back to, that ain't right. But you dare not come to him and say they ain't right. When you go, they used to go to the store and buy something, right? He put this finger on the scale, talking about, yeah, that's a pound. No, man, this is 1 p. Ain't weighing no pound. That's your thumb. Don't figure behind me, nigga. So what you do? You go along with the program because you don't know nothing better to do. Not so today. There's a whole new program on the scene, and we are getting deeper into it every week. Right. We say, communicate with God, read the Quran. Right. If you don't read the Quran, you better have a message to the black man that aids you as being a guide for it. Right. Some of it you might just pick right up on. You know, you look at the first surah and you say, oh, that look like a prayer. where you might get away reading a prayer. But when they get into the depth of the information being provided, same with Bible,
Do you know?
you be lost.
Right.
And it, like the Bible, can be as deadly as a rattlesnake if you don't have the proper guidance
Yes.
to get into it. That's why our setup is the way it is. Yeah. We gradually bring you up, degree by degree, that you can understand what's being taught and be able to have a foundation that you can build on.
Yeah.
Because when you go to even to the white man's school, he don't want you to go to no private school. He wants you to go to public school.
Yeah.
Public school ain't giving you what you need. They got an SOL and a SAT or something for you to pass. If you can pass that, move on. But they ain't teaching you
not the science. No.
That ain't giving you no real foundation.
Right.
That's just to get you on down the road so they can be out of their way and prepare you to be incarcerated, to be in the drug, perhaps.
Some kind of servant.
And all of these things that they got that's hindrance to us as a people. Right. Certainly they ain't teaching you nothing about loving each other.
No.
As long as you love them, it's all right. Can't we just get along? Ain't that what Rodney King said? Yeah. When he was whooping his tail on the video. Can't we just get along?
That's all.
Can't we just get along? And that's going on all the time.
All the time.
And then, we got one little cartoon where the white man standing behind the brother, got his shotgun, the brother, I got it, boss, I got it. It's something, he all right with it. But brothers and sisters, today we need to know who we are.
Exactly.
We need to know what our proper way of life is. So today we're going into our subject from the message to the black man in America. We seek truth and justice. And it's going to be brought to us by our minister, Brother Kamau Islam. Let me tell you just a teeny bit about him that you've heard before, because you heard me say. This brother is the only brother I have ever met in the nation who could go to, or you bring out some information, he said, well, that's in such and such a book. Sometimes on page so and so and so. Or that's in such and such a recording by the messenger. Brother asked him about, I don't know about anybody getting put out the temple for them kind of times. He said, yeah, brother, it's in the interview in the messenger. Yeah. We went and looked at the interview, there it is, page 8. The messenger listening, and when the last time we looked at a particular book? It's been a while. But he's the only brother I knew who could do that. Yes, sir. I can't do it. I can do it on some stuff. Do about this much. You understand? But all praise to Allah, we've got this brother who's the minister in our temple. He's got a cool head on him. He's tolerant. He ain't nothing like me. I'm telling you. He said, well, we were at the house of it. You know what I mean? I'm glad he's a minister, though. I wouldn't have anybody else be it. Anybody else is more qualified to be. So without further ado, join with me in a round of applause as we bring him forth, and I'll leave you there reading in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum. Again, before we go any further, we thank Brother Secretary Hakeem Muhammad for doing what the messenger even asked some of those when he had over 2,000 or more people before him in Chicago. Because he said the brothers have beautified the board. And he said, it seems like it's getting a little closer to me than it was last time. But he said he and those of us who follow what he teaches, we teach of the universe.
Yes, sir.
So, Brother Secretary has given us some of the unlimited science that's found in our vast universe. And let's once again give him another relative round of applause. In the most holy name of Almighty God, whose proper name is Allah, the one God who came to us in reality, in person. Yes, and the last book that devils put in the Bible called the Book of Revelation. And the first chapter of that book teaches us that all eyes shall see him as he is.
Yes, sir.
And that is none other than the reference of a lying person who came, Master Farah Muhammad, and he raised the most honored Elijah Muhammad as the divine leader, teacher, and guide for us all. So we thank Allah in person, and we thank his messenger, the honorable Elijah Muhammad, for giving us that which we need so that we can come back to life and stay in life.
Yes, sir.
So once again, it's in their names, Allah in person, Master Farah Muhammad, and his messenger, the honorable Elijah Muhammad. We greet the brothers and sisters here at the temple and the nation's greetings of peace in Arabic. Salam alaikum.
Wait, salam, sir.
Before we go into the depths of what Master Muhammad has given us here on this subject, he's talking about the persecution of the righteous. That's the whole section. Then he breaks it down in categories. And he says one of the reasons that we are being persecuted is because we are the righteous.
Yes, sir.
And another reason why we are being persecuted is because we seek truth and justice.
Yes, sir.
So all of these things that we got as we seek what we want is what causes us to be persecuted, not by righteous people, because righteous people will not persecute righteous people.
Right, right.
So who is it that's doing the persecution of the righteous?
Good question.
The wicked are the ones who are persecuting the righteous. But the way the devil has trained our people in America to think that you cannot understand the reality of wickedness, nor can you understand the reality of righteousness, because he puts both categories in what you call a sphere of spooks, spirits, and ghosts.
Yes, sir.
Because when the people want to learn about God, then the wicked tell you, the wicked are the white people, the wicked tell you God is far removed from reality. Meaning what? You cannot conceive of God
No, sir.
in any aspect of reality. So that means, as Brother Secretary mentioned before, your five senses cannot detect God. But then the devil goes a little further in his trickology. Then you want to know, well, how do I rescue myself from the evil or from the unrighteous or from the devil? And then the devil comes with another big lie. The devil cannot be conceived of in reality. He tells you God is a spook, spirit, or ghost, and the devil is in the same category.
Right.
But yet you're asked to be able to distinguish between one and the other, so you'll know how to serve God and shun the devil.
Yes, sir.
So that's like putting you, as the saying goes, between a rock and a hard place. And this is why our people are so confused in this white man's damnable civilization.
True.
They don't know what's going on, and they even say, I don't know what this world is coming to. But the Messenger of Allah, the Honorable Muhammad, has been raised in our midst to teach us what's going on and also what this world is coming to. An end, E-N-D.
Right.
In fact, he stated that if you would look at what even the scholars and scientists have calculated, he says some of them are close to it. They're almost right.
Right.
But he says it's not the total end, but it's the beginning of the end that has begun to take place. And even when you read in the Bible, in the New Testament in particular, they attribute that to Prophet Jesus. When you see the red letters in the King James Version and some others, he said, you know, when the disciple asked the question, well, Jesus, when will the end come? What did he say? Well, you got to look for certain signs. Nations will rise against nations. Kingdoms will rise against kingdoms. There will be earthquakes in diverse places. Some said diverse places. Well, where do divers go? Under the ground. If you got rumbling under the ground, they call that a tsunami. When it hits the waters and keeps them wave high, you know. Well, if it's diverse places, you still look for those signs. But then it says nations will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. But what does the Bible say about that? When you see all of these things, this is just the beginning of the end. And the Almighty Muhammad put it, when you see that, he said, that's bad. You see that? That's even worse than when I saw it first. The message said, the worst is yet to come. Because when we see these signs, we know we are at near the end of time. Now, he's teaching us, we seek truth and justice. Who is this we he has reference to? Himself. And he would not be able to seek it except that Allah taught him how to seek it. And then he's referring to those of us who follow what he teaches. But those of our people who are in the white man's world, they wouldn't even know truth if it smacked them upside the head. And they wouldn't even know justice if it was surrounding them on all sides. Because the white man has never taught them anything about real truth nor real justice.
Right.
When we come into the temple, the messenger has designed every temple under his guidance to have a board of instruction. The brother secretary mentioned, we call this sometimes the Armageddon board, sometimes we call it the actual facts board. But it's a board designed to give us instructions we need as we navigate ourselves throughout our creation. The black background represents the base of all reality. And that's how it was in the beginning. And we're not just talking about time-wise, but we're talking about even now, in the beginning. The Genesis opens up, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Of course, but he did something else in the beginning too.
That's right. Before that,
he created himself.
That's right.
In the beginning. And he's still in the beginning. And those of us who are descendants of Allah, we're in the beginning. But then you go down to 26th verse of the first chapter. Something else took place in the beginning. But it's a long extension between the 78 trillion years and the 6,000 years. Because that beginning was the making of a made man. God said, let us. Okay, so he got the consensus with the people, the black folk at that time. Let us bring forth this new man, the white race.
Yes, sir.
Coming from where? Coming from the black nation. Not the black nation in its totality, but the black nation being driven to such a low state of its own existence, because we started the shutdown process 50,000 years ago.
That's right.
We allowed the weaker of ourselves to rule. No white man here. But we went into weak black rulership, and we produced brown rulership. We produced yellow rulership. Brown and yellow got together, produced red, and we had red rulership. So for 44,000 years, we got all of this going on our planet Earth until the consensus was made. Let us make a man in our image and after our likeness. So they took the brown germ, drove it to its last stage of its own existence 6,000 years ago. And then this brown germ, as the message states on the day of the time, he says, Yaqub studied it. Then we get into why we seek truth and justice. Why is it that we don't have it? Because it was removed from the black nation, step by step, until we got here under the white man. And it's so far removed from us that we've got to even search and look for it
That's right.
to find it.
Yes.
Right.
The message says concerning the country that we live in, America. America knows that under her flag, we have received nothing but hell. Beatings and killings without due process of law. Day and night, not only in the past, but in the present. So that means we have been locked out of truth and we have been locked out of justice.
Yes, sir.
Brother mentioned, when you look at our flag, the flag of Islam, we've got a symbol in the flag that represents justice. That's the star.
Yes, sir.
The star represents guidance. Because if you don't have justice, you can't be guided aright. And we got a prayer that says, guide us on the right path. And then, since we didn't know the right path, Allah put it there. He told Muhammad, the prophet of Arabia, somewhat 1400 years ago, the people who need this prayer mostly, then it'll be there in the Holy Quran. Guide us on the right path. Specify what the right path is. The path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, and not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. So let's tell you the identity of the right path. If that's not enough clear explanation, it tells you that if you believe in Islam, take not the Jews nor the Christians for friends.
That's right.
Then you got to know who the Jews are and who the Christians are. They're friends of each other.
That's right.
And you say, well, I know some black folk, they said they're Jews.
They don't know.
But they just crazy.
That's
They
right.
just don't know
They
themselves.
just trying to find
They just trying to find their way back home. Because when the white man talked about two groups of Jews, he tells you that instead of calling them Jews, just call them Hebrews. Then he takes the word Hebrew back and tells you the origin of that word means one who has crossed over. But he still don't take you all the way back. Somebody is crossing over from one civilization.
That's right.
Trying to get out of wickedness to get back to righteousness. And another man is trying to leave the righteousness and crawl over into
Back to
wickedness.
That's right.
See, that's the white man who was smart over in the East. He wanted to share what he learned with the rest of his white brothers in Europe and wherever else he went. He even came to a crossroads and said, what should I do? Should I obey God or should I obey man? Now, he wasn't saying that man is not God and God is not man. He was saying, should I go the way of the original Asiatic black man? Or should I step out of here and step over into the caves and help these white folks that don't have this knowledge get themselves together?
Right.
So he made the choice. I'm going to go on out there and help the rest of the white folks.
That's right.
And then when he started helping them, the gratitude is what? Well, they somewhat worship him now because even the new president of America said, we're going to, for what y'all have done and what you're still doing for us, we're going to go over there in the black man's land, in the lower part of Palestine, and we're going to take that holy city that the black man built
And give it to you.
and give it to you.
That's right.
And make that your capital. Because we learned in our lesson, Jerusalem was built by the black man, the original man.
That's right.
It was called Jebus, Ariel, and Sil.
That's it.
But yet the white man said, we want it. And the white boys who got the Army, the Navy, Air Force, Marine, they said, go ahead and make that your capital, and we'll back you up. So here it is now, they still are trying to hide the truth so that we can't get the truth and we can't be justified. But the message says, we've been trapped over here in modern day Babylon. And America knows that as long as we are under her government, her flag, her rules, her laws, and her guidelines, we catch nothing but hell. The process of seeking, looking for, right?
Yes, sir.
Even children, sometimes they play a game, they call it what? Hide and seek. But they said they give the person a little time to hide somewhere.
Right.
They said, ready? Not yet. Ready yet? It's a count to 10. Count back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They said, ready or not, here I come.
Yes.
So then they go looking for the person that has hid himself or herself out. But the devils, they have been hiding stuff from us ever since that they have had a chance to rule and try to carry on their wicked civilization. The Honorable Muhammad says that when God comes in this day and time, you find him under the title of the Holy One. That's over in the Old Testament in the book of Habakkuk. It said when the Holy One came, he came from a certain family of people, a certain area, Mount Paran. And it says the ones that were called God, they came from Tema. But then the Habakkuk doesn't continue to talk about the God from Tema, but it tells you more about the God
That's right.
who's called the Holy One. And tell you the Holy One had a whole lot of stuff going on, causing a whole lot of rumbling all over the planet Earth.
That's right.
And some of the people who were in the seat of authority, those are some of those who already climbed up on the ladder they talk about. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. Every round goes higher and higher. Well, before Yaakov got it started, there wasn't no need for no ladder. Because the black man was already in his
on the
top
top.
spot.
That's right.
And he had no intention of going down.
Mm-mm.
But so when Yaakov was given that permission to make a man in our image and after our likeness, that's when it was time to build a ladder. Because you're going to have people who had never been up there being prepared to go up.
Mm-hmm.
And those who've been up there all the time, they got to shut down and come down. But don't mean to shut everything down when it came down. Because they say even Prophet Jesus ran across an order that had no beginning, nor end. They call it the order of Melchizedek, some say Melchizedek. Old Testament teaching, they said when Abraham decided he wanted to worship the one God, he condemned his daddy for being under the polytheism, all kind of idol worship. But Abraham found favor with the king over there in Jerusalem, the king Melchizedek. They said they break bread together. That's in Genesis. So who are these wise men that never lose sight of time? The Honorable Muhammad says these are wise black scientists. Even though the light was cut out and the world was put in darkness, but our scientists never let all the light go.
Right.
So these are the people that keep the light burning. A few years ago, they said they were in the circle. And in the circle, they had to come to a conclusion because we have been gone for 44,000 years, allowing the weaker of ourselves to rule. So in the circle, the scientists collaborated with one another. And they said, well, we just can't start a new cycle and keep doing the same thing over and over again and not making corrections. There was one in the circle, the father of our Savior, who took on a task when they say something has to be done to bring about the change. And according to our lessons, they said when the scientists were looking and seeing what Master Farad Muhammad's father was about to do, and one of the scientists, I think it was Osman Sharif or someone, he said, well, if you want to make this happen, if you want to go out and find the lost sheep, they can't be returned back to the family circle until they are taught a thorough knowledge of themselves.
Hmm.
And the Savior's father knew that because he took on the mission of taking his father around the earth, to his son around the earth, thank you, and introducing him to black societies and getting vital information from wherever he could find and paying handsome sums of money so his son could get on the mission of restoring us back to life.
Right.
But yet the book of Habakkuk says that when the Holy One started doing what he had to do, you don't hear too much more about the God over in the back, but you only hear about the Holy One. But you had some people who were in a position of authority called curtains. And what about the curtains when the Holy One started doing his work? The curtains trembled. They said they didn't say that it was just a certain type of curtain that was made by certain people in a certain area called the land of Median. But it says the curtains of Median did tremble. See, these were the scientists.
Yes, sir.
They had a job to do. Yaakov couldn't just put a caveman
No, sir. Sure couldn't.
up the ladder.
That's right, sir. That's right.
Yaakov had to get people ready.
Yes, sir.
And some of them never saw the cave, who were members of the white race.
That's right.
And these were those, as we get in our lesson, that some of our people even raised up
That's right.
among the holy people.
That's right.
Hit them out under their
Hit 'em out.
skirts.
Yes, sir.
Because when the authorities came to get them, and they round all of them up and chased them over into the hills and caves of Europe, these ones got
Get
lucky
away.
and stayed amongst our people.
Right.
We hear about Moses being what?
That's right.
He did a job. We hear about even the man who helped the old crazy king and queen, Isabella and Ferdinand over there in
Columbus.
Spain. Columbus had a written name.
Mhm.
So you had all kinds of people, members of the black nation, that have cohabitated with the white race, helping the white race do their thing for what? 6,000 years. But now, they still got the game going. But Allah has taught the Ahmadiyya Muhammad to see the game that's being played on us and not fall victim to the game. So-
Thank you.
The Savior did what his father asked him to do, and he continued to study. We see the only picture we have of the Savior, and it's just like he's reading. We venture to say it must be the whole Quran. It's just like he's looking in there and saying, but I'm making sure that I'm navigating, I'm on course with my mission, what I'm doing here. Because he's always seeing where I am. The message says the Savior even pointed out certain scriptures to him in the Holy Quran. He said, he told me to read certain chapters. And the message said, he didn't know that some people ran around him, returning hypocrite like they did.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but Allah showed me.
Mm-hmm.
So the Savior is letting him know, Elijah, I'm preparing you for what's to come. You are to stay on course. I put you on course. And you teach the people right. If they follow you, they'll stay on course.
There you go.
And the message began to wrap up the mission in 1972. He was letting us know he had not lost one word for what the Savior gave him.
That's right.
And he called up some of those who were supposed to have been some of his best laborers.
Yes.
Not all of them, but some was in the audience hollering, teach, holy apostle, teach. So he started teaching deep. They had to shut their mouth up to listen to what he was saying because they hadn't paid attention. Because if they did, they would have been hollering all over the place. They would have sat there and been quiet and maybe clap and said, that's right. But I mean, they wanted to be heard, and then they got quiet. Because the other time, he went so deep into the teaching that they even had to give him a listen. But then he called some up on the rostrum, and he said, some of these used to know this teaching.
Right.
He said, leads me to believe they have been off in the other company doing something else.
Yes, sir.
And he asked, he said, is that what you are teaching the people? And one could not even do the
Mother
figure
plane.
of the mother plane.
Mm-hmm.
The message is just leave it up on the board. Maybe one of Yaakov's boys might see it and drop dead. But it just shows you, if you are following what the Ahmadiyya Muhammad teaches, you have to stay with his teaching and study to make yourself, as brother like to say, what? Approved.
That's right.
But how can we be approved if we don't study what he teaches?
Right.
When knowledge ends, the
Imagination begins.
So people got all kind of imagination. They're all over the place instead of being in the right place. We seek, looking for truth and justice.
That's right.
Well, in order for you to seek truth even in the devil's court system. They got the judge, they got the bailiff, they got the lawyers, they got all kinds of people in the court. But if they call a witness to the stand, then that witness has to make a pledge before he or she takes the stand. Sometimes they have the guy that put the Bible out there and tell you, put your hand on the Bible, raise your hand, and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Some say they don't want to take the oath of the Bible.
Right.
They say, well, stand there and you can just affirm it.
Mm-hmm.
He'll let you under that. But the main thing is represent the truth, right? We used to see a movie, it was a TV series years ago, came on TV. I think it was called Dragnet. You know, the devil would go around in the neighborhood and knock on people's doors and ask people something because they want to know, did you see anything that led up to this crime? I remember one series they had, and they knocked on the door to a little old lady, and she started talking about when she did this, it was about time she had breakfast or something, and she had to put out the doggy, and I think the guy, he was taking notes, he said, ma'am, just the facts, ma'am. You know, I only want to know what pertains to the situation at hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when they get to the court, the judge wants to know if you're going to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, then he will permit you to come and take the stand. But if you won't do that, and if you say you are going to do that, and with the facts that they have, and it's proven that you're not doing that, they can say you have committed perjury, you have lied on the oath. They might just want to take you and throw you back in the slab. But they definitely not going to let you stay on the stand and misrepresent the facts. Okay. So when we seek truth and justice, then we've got to know all things that pertain.
Right.
You come into the temple, a place of learning, that's where you get what you need so you can properly seek truth and justice. The message says about white folk, America wants to make some so-called Negroes believe that the religion of Islam can be thrown out the window if they turn hypocrites themselves in trying to make democracy work. Now, who's he talking about here? Our poor people trying to make white folks so-called democracy work.
Mm-hmm.
They can turn hypocrites against their own salvation, and then they feel confident that they can just throw the religion of Islam out the window. The message says this is done only what America is trying to do. This is done only to deceive the so-called American Negroes. Brother told us years ago, a neighbor knew that he and his wife were followers of the Almighty Muhammad. See him coming and going. So one day the neighbor came over to the house and inquired of him about the Holy Quran. And he said he kind of looking a little surprised that the neighbor would ask about the Holy Quran. He must have, the neighbor caught his eye and his expression. And what the neighbor was, the so-called neighbor said, oh, for historical purposes only. But the neighbor didn't even know how to even appreciate the Holy Quran for historical purposes. Because there's so much in-depth wisdom in the Holy Quran. If you don't have a knowledge of the teachings of the Almighty Muhammad,
Right.
you could not even fathom how this could be related to any history. Because the message says from our lessons that Allah gave him to give to us, this is only a portion of a 25,000 year black history cycle.
Right.
That's a small portion. It was given to Muhammad Ibn Abdullah of Arabia 1,400 years ago, over a period of 20 to 23 years. Directly from the mouth of Allah himself. And the Arabs don't even want to be straightforward with that. They try to tell you, Muhammad received the Holy Quran from the angel Gabriel. If you ask them who was the angel Gabriel,
Right.
oh, he was the angel. But the message says, it states in the Holy Quran, and if Gabriel was the one who gave it to Muhammad 1,400 years ago, why is the Quran saying, I, Allah, am the best known?
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you right there. If Gabriel gave it to Muhammad, Gabriel would be doing something similar to
Taking first person.
first person.
Yeah.
The Bible don't even mess you up that bad when you first go in there. It tells you what? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. If there was a God speaking, he would say, in the beginning, I created the heavens and the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not first person.
No.
It could be anywhere from 7 to 1,000,000 person. Long the earth in here. Somebody could have said something, somebody said, all the way down the line. But if Moses went down into Egypt to get it from the black scientists out of the library and give an account to the cave dwellers, a crash course in the creation, they said, Moses, this one now. Them people don't need to know all. In fact, they couldn't even apprehend it anyway, going through all these. How many cycles? We got 25,000 year cycles. Then we got 50,000 year red star, blue star occurrence. Then we go back into 3 divisions of creation. Now, how can a man crawling off the caves of Europe understand anything of this?
Yes, that's right.
Moses gave him just enough, so teach him how to cook his food,
That's right.
how to
Put
build
some
a home
clothes
for
on.
himself.
Stand on his feet.
Just stand up, stand up, not on 4s, but up like this, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And the white man still,
Don't forget to wash, bro.
take a bath.
He never did.
But never. Today he tries to. He has to be reminded of that.
Yes, sir.
But just look at how he has placed himself. The devil has in his civilization and taking things away from us that we should know and understand. We go to school and we study. We pay dearly for courses of study, but he never separates what you call the animal kingdom from the human family. Because naturally he would put himself in there because the message says Allah told him that what? All of the monkey family
Yes,
comes
sir. That's right.
by the way of the white race.
That's right.
Because what white folks did, this is why you have the amalgamation between the white race and the dog that produce a key to a certain man.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't say the man key, he calls it the monkey.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And then he goes a little further on and explaining his own history. He goes into the island of Indonesian islands and so forth. And there's one called Java. And then he claimed he found a creature, the remains of a creature on the island of Java. And he called him Pithecanthropus, a black man. Some said, no, he was no a black man. He was a man like ape. Then they argue over that, and they claim, well, whatever the case, it don't exist no more. Only the vestiges that are left in the form of
Skeleton.
stone and what they call paleontology or whatever. Yeah, right. So at any rate, you come up from the amoeba all the way up to the man. Whether you're talking about the original man or you're talking about the white man, the grafted man. And nowhere in there does he show you God himself. Because he still makes it mandatory that God has to be what? A spirit, ghost, a combination of the 3. But yet he gives you all of these books to read and study, Bible and Holy Quran. Somebody tell you what God did in the beginning. God speaking himself, but yet they don't tell you who this Allah and the best know is. They say it came from Gabriel, but Gabriel just an angel. Even in the New Testament, they tell you an angel came and cried with a loud voice. The message says, yeah, you use the word angel, but that was Allah in person, Master for Allah. Come out of here, ye my people, and be not partakers of her sins. Okay, now we're seeking truth and we're seeking justice. The Master gave a speech back in the Ulan Arena in 1959 in Washington, D.C. They escorted him into the city, the devil's field, and they escorted him out after he finished. But in that speech, the Master says, our people were seeking justice the best they knew how, coming up from the South, coming all from around the country. That time, Martin Luther King had not been put in the forefront of our people. White folks were just grooming him as a Christian preacher, sent him to the school of theology, and made him later on the leader of the civil rights movement. But when the messenger was speaking there was about 10,000 or more of our people at the Uline Arena.
Mhm.
And he says, we were seeking justice. And he said, but when you look at what white folks say about it, they got all kinds of definitions of what justice is. He said, Plato even true. I mean, whoever the power, who's the one who's the most powerful, dominate the one who's less powerful. He saw that as being justice, the strong over the weak. Okay? So the devil, when he gives us what he calls justice in his civilization from his government, he's still living on the ruling of Rod Attorney. Supreme Court Justice. He says that if we live inside of the white man's civilization, we don't have any rights that white folks are bound to respect.
That's right.
He didn't say we don't have any rights. He was saying what? They make the determination
That's right.
as to what we can do and what we cannot do. They make the determination. And it depends on how you feel. Maybe it don't have to be in their law books. Because the devil left that up not to the federal government, but back then when he was saying that, they had states' rights. Alabama said this is what our niggas can do. Mississippi said this is what ours can do. This is their limit. And Georgia said, well, these are the limits of the ones who enjoy it. And then our people start crying to the federal government and said, well, I go here, Alabama cracker tell me to do this. I go to Mississippi cracker tell me to do this. I don't know what to do. He said, well, okay, we put it on the federal level. But it's still on the same category that Roger Taney put into motion. Even on the federal level.
Yes, sir.
We're supposed to have no rights that white folks are bound to respect.
Yes, sir.
So that's not justice.
No, sir.
The truth has to come when you receive facts. Because how can you derive the truth if you're not working with facts? You got to have math.
That's right.
You got to know how to add things up. Brother mentioned in the opening what the white man said when he tell you something, you go back and figure out on your own. He said, I know Master said, it's not, that ain't right. You tell each other it's not right. But if you venture to go back and tell him it's not right, the first thing he can tell you, you don't figure behind me, nigga.
That's right.
In other words, don't question me. And this is what our people are doing today.
Take
We
these
looked at news article recently. They took a brother who used to be on BET in the morning, had a 2-hour news format. Roland Martin? Yeah. And he told us on the program that even though his contract did not run out till almost fall of this year, but he came to work one day and some of his staff members, and they were told that his program was going to be discontinued. My wife read it in the newspaper. She said they got 3 reasons why they said that he's not on the air anymore. I told her, I said, you know how white folks are when they see something. They don't go directly sometimes to the person who's doing it. They'll go to the ones who's over them. So Roland Martin, he had his program on BET, the TV One News out. Okay, then they probably went to, what's her name, Kathy Hughes or whoever, and her son who runs the place. I said, you got to get him off here because he's exposing too much stuff. Because y'all on the station, though. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, ease him on out. They did that with the brother in Richmond who was heading up the NAACP. So he went there, the doors was locked, and they didn't tell him face to face that you're no longer in this position. But they do it and like throwing a rock and peeping behind it, little, something like that. Not straight up, but that's how they told Roland Martin, you will no longer be on TV One with your 2-hour news format. And he told us, he said, my contract doesn't even run out until about fall to end of the summer. And everybody told him, you go there, got it okay with their master. We'll pay you the difference between that and fall.
Yeah.
You just gotta go. Because master don't want you there. One thing they said, I believe, had something to do, I don't know the ratings, because they said he got top ratings at one of those programs they have, how the singers and all this get together. They had given him one last year, the year before last one. So it wasn't that. They had plenty of commercials on there, but some kind of way the devil told them, take him off the air and because we don't want our
We don't want him no
to
more.
be exposed. But he got other stuff going for himself too. But he was a little more outspoken than some of the rest of them. But the devil does not want us to have truth and justice. The message says, I said to everyone who reads this book that Islam is here among the black people of America to stay as long as their life is in their bodies. The God of Islam, Allah, is with me and will back me and others who are working hard to deliver people from such an evil and merciless race of devils.
Yes, sir.
So while we continue to seek truth and justice, we won't stop. He gives an incident that happened in Monroe, Louisiana, way down south. And this is a part of the territory that was carved out as a state where our people whipped the French and ran them back to France. And Thomas Jefferson went over there, and they were so afraid, they said, we want to dump all of our possessions over there in the Americas. And Thomas Jefferson wanted to know, well, you got a lot of possessions over here. And he didn't think that America had enough money to buy what France was going to sell. So France sold the Louisiana territory pennies on an acre. Way back then. I mean, for an acre of land, just a few pennies. It's just like they said, just take it. We don't want it. Take it off our hands. Because they have been whipped so bad by the black people of Haiti. And the devils even state that when Thomas Jefferson got Louisiana purchased, it increased the size of America tremendously. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there were about 13 states carved out of the Louisiana territory. That's something.
Yes, sir.
They only had 13 original colonies when they first got started. So you got all of them states that's carved out of the land that the French dumped on America because the Haitians have whipped their land. That's something. So our people had a lot of military strategy way back then to defeat what they call the army of Napoleon.
Mm-hmm.
When the rest of the white folks were afraid of Napoleon, thought he was the baddest thing going, but the Haitians knew he wasn't. They said, we got him covered. So here it is now, in the same area, Monroe, Louisiana, southern courts with their southern judges of hatred are thirsty to take their own law of justice, twist it up, and throw it back upon the sheriff. The message said they wouldn't even try us on their own law. They're going to make it say something else and hide it. So the lawyer is looking for, I guess a black lawyer, looking for it. And the message said some black lawyers know the law. He said, but they're so afraid of white folks, they're not going to go before a white judge and rightfully practice the law, because the judge might disbar them because he said, we think you're a smart nigger, you know, you're barred. You can't come before this court no more. So our people's got to scratch their head, shuffle, scratch where they don't itch, and blink, 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 and go along with the devil's program.
Yes, sir.
So the message says, and when they look and see a poor, innocent so-called Negro begging for justice, as his grandparents and their grandparents before, as far back as 400 years ago, who received nothing but the spitting of anger and threats of murder from the judges throughout the course of America. He said, not just people sitting in the audience, the judge is doing that.
Yes, sir.
So that's the leader, right?
Right.
The judge presides over the court. So he's spitting anger out, and he's threatening to murder those who come for justice. Just to mention justice for a so-called Negro in the South is an insult to the judge. Can't use the word. You know, I said the N-word. The judge converted the J-word when it comes to a black man looking for justice. Who is supposed to be the judge of right and wrong between the state and the opposing attorneys? The master said he sat in court many times to see that there's no justice for us in any white court. He, the judge, becomes a more vicious enemy against the poor so-called Negro than the prosecuting attorney. when he sees a so-called Negro before him. So he don't show the prosecutor turning aside. The judge said, let me handle this one. This is a nigger. I'm going to treat him accordingly.
That's
The
not
so-called Negro does not have justice under the law. Not only in the South, but anywhere in America. The message says, as I plainly stated in Washington, D.C. in 1959 at the Uline Arena, before 10,000 people, everything has failed us as far as justice is concerned. Now, he did it in 1959, and our people, even in 2008, are still marching in front of white folks and saying, what? No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. If they knew what justice was and properly sought justice, they would have
They
peace.
wouldn't look for it from there.
And what did the white man say? He said, I don't mind you marching, but the first thing the devil says when you marching, he said, I just want you to have what kind of march? A peaceful
Peaceful
protest.
law.
The word peace goes back to Islam. Now, why would the white man be asking a slave Negro who was a wannabe Christian to march in an Islamic way? Because the Negro doesn't know that Islam is peace. The Bible in the book of Acts, I think it's its 10th chapter, verse 36. The very one our people hoot and holler and kick and spit and knock over benches and roll up and down the aisle about called Jesus. They say they believe in Jesus' religion. But the Bible says, Prophet Jesus came preaching peace.
That's right.
If Jesus came preaching peace, that means Jesus came preaching Islam. Not no Hebrew, not no Judaism, not any kind of concoction of isms. Only Islam. Then the message says, the Justice Department in Washington, D.C., the churches, the priests, and the preachers have all failed the so-called Negro. Martin Luther King was a preacher they made for our people. And not only did they dog us, but they dogged him too. And when they got sick of him, they killed him. And they frustrated him so bad, they said some of his close associates wanted to know, well, when Reverend Dr. King, when you die, what do you want on your gravesite? You know what he said? You know, Martin Luther King said that he wanted to put on his gravesite after white folks had wore him down and beat him down and knocked him down and thrown bricks up. I think he got hit by a brick up in Chicago area. And he said the white folks up there were just as vicious or more vicious up north than they were down south. But they said, well, he told the people, he said, well, put on my gravesite when I die. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Now, well, they had wore him down so bad, he knew that's the only way he thought he could get out of his suffering is that he would have to physically die or they had to kill him and he'd die that way. Because and that's what they said, they're going to put on his gravesite. Free at last. Okay, we the Muslims were and are still being persecuted in Monroe, Louisiana, and throughout North America for what we teach of the true flag, which is the flag of Islam. Let me say that before we conclude. The flag of Islam and the flag of the devil. The incident that took place down in Louisiana, one of Mr. Muhammad's ministers was teaching, and the devils, whether stool pigeon or whatever else, they came busting into the place of worship and attacked the believers and placed many of them under arrest, including the minister. And he goes into that and talk about the street man close. But the message says, we teach the two flags. Which one will survive the Armageddon war? One side is our flag, Nation of Islam. The other side is the devil's flag. Old hell, they call it.
Oh,
And then the message said, and especially because of the following words you find on our blackboard and most of our regular meetings. Which flag will survive the war of Armageddon? Mr. Muhammad never took this stand. Every temple under his guidance should have. And in his departure, Wallace came in there under the direction of the white man and Arabs, take it all down. So he moved the backboard of the temple. Didn't call it temple no more. He went into something called a masjid. And then some of those who didn't want Wallace, they left. They said, well, maybe this brother who claimed that he could call it the masjid, maybe we could rally around him under something called a family call, he'll get it back together. They went up in the family call building and still didn't see it. Because even though he might not have been the first one to take it down, but he certainly didn't put it back up. So he was up in the cahoots with Wallace. The message of Armageddon is the final war of judgment and separation of the righteous from the wicked, of which I am sent to teach. The message that I've been sent to teach this. So I got to have the illustrations there to teach you what it's all about. And anyone who follows the messenger got to have the illustrations there to teach what it's all about.
Right.
So you can't say you follow the messenger and don't have the tools to teach with. You can say it with his mind. The message says, this is the question that is asked the mentally dead of my people in America. This question is to show the answer that he fully agrees that the sun, moon, and the stars will survive the corruption. So if you didn't know anything, if you walk into Muhammad's temple and you saw this board and the brother is probably teaching from the board, then when you leave out the building, whether you came back or not, you got the answer on which one survived. So if you want to go with the loser, you're going to stay there with the Christians or the white folk. If you want to go with the winners, you're going to keep on coming back to the temple and stay on the right-hand side of the mountain. Yes, under the sun, the moon, and the stars. And I conclude. Then comes the next question. Since you believe that the crescent will survive, why not accept Islam and the flag and crescent emblem that represents the sun, moon, and stars? Brother said years ago, if you got any doubts about which one will survive, he said, look, this grew this. So you can't have that grown unless you over here to shed the sunlight on the earth to make the vegetation come up out of the earth so you can get a tree, chop the tree down, and cross it up and make it cross. But the sun, moon, and the stars have never disobeyed Allah. But the Christianity has never obeyed Allah. That's all.
Like Islam, sir.